So far, so good with The Penguin, which apparently is quite the hit as far as new streaming shows are going. And when it goes between DC and Marvel, they've got a surefire winner over them. I mean, Agatha, it's just no contest whatsoever, and that's not really all that surprising. Staying to form as the initial episode, which impressed me quite a bit, and with 2 episodes in, easily by leaps and bounds far superior to the movie that spawned this iteration of the character. And so you get more of his abilities to navigate these shark-infested waters of the Gotham City criminal underworld as he plots and schemes and succeeds so far as he's going through some amount of skill and talent and cleverness, but also a lot of luck. It just works out this way and that, but albeit credibly within how things are presented and how the story flows. So nothing too wild that says, oh, come on, and that kind of thing. And with 2 episodes in so far, nothing in it that, my main rule is don't kick your audience out of the show. And I really haven't done that. So as long as nothing like that occurs, and it looks like it's going to be a really great show. Too bad it's one and done. They've already asked Colin Farrell, hey, what about a season 2? And he was like, ugh. Because he's got to be in that damn suit. I imagine he will be a part of the movie, and the movie takes place after the events of this show. But perhaps more of a smaller role. Being the lead character for this series, that would be pretty rough. But movie role, well, a little easier. And unless he's killed off at the end, and that's it for him. Maybe that would be the shocking ending for it. Don't think that would go over well. But it probably more than likely he becomes it's been teased that he becomes the kingpin of crime of Gotham City. And so he'd be in a much powerful position than he was initially in the Batman. So speaking of Batman, one thing they do get close to perhaps lacking some amount of credibility here is, and this I would have thought could be solved with just a double in the bat suit, in the shadows and stuff like that, making an appearance here and there, is there's quite the battle that takes place within the second episode. And it seems unlikely that the Batman would not be looking into something like that. Now, the idea that it happened and, he had no idea it was going to, and so, but now you would think he would respond to it. As to how they handle that, or they could just say it happened. But I think like a few operations get hit and it's just a stunt guy in the suit. They could do that, I would think. And there's been talk about television rights is a bit a mess when it comes to Batman. But brief appearances here and there, I would have thought that could be pulled off. Don't know Robert Pattinson shows up at all, but you wouldn't necessarily need him to lend to that, because this is a lot of activity going on with these rival criminal forces. And of course, after what happened in the movie, Batman, of course, would be aware that there's a void left by the death of Falcone, and so a bit of a war is inevitable in circumstances like that. It becomes louder as it goes. As well, where is he? Would it be addressed in some form or fashion? Perhaps explained in the movie, like, oh, he had to go overseas for some reason, or there's a news announcement that Bruce Wayne is overseas for whatever reason. Of course, that's the kind of cover story Wayne would give himself while he's still in the city as Batman, But I can't help but think that this is an element that at least has to be addressed some kind of way. Will it be? I'm dubious that it will be. And it's just a matter of how well crafted the show is overall. That it's going to matter to me, but it won't matter for the success of the show overall. And you get a fairly good tale of this this nasty, rotten criminal rising to power. But for the most part, it's just other criminals getting whacked, you know. But still, it's the positions that he finds himself in as he's dodging the major players of the war that he's manipulated to happen in order to cover up his murder of Alberto. You know? And at the same time, secure a bigger position for himself, and he's manipulating events, and it is pretty clumsy as he goes, and really I think he overstepped when he's pursuing Sophia, but then as events played out, not quite to his planning, but he was able to make a few adjustments, you know, with a murder to make up for things. He gets himself into a prized position to where, and we learn more about Sophia. They already told you that, you know, she had been at Arkham and that sort of thing, and how attached she was to her brother, who was her only lifeline while she was stuck there, and how tortured she is at his loss. And that makes, you know, she's wanting vengeance and angry, but at the same time makes her terribly vulnerable to the Penguin here. And it's paying off for him. And it's one of those things where he's got to be, she's the most, at the outset, the most dangerous one for him. But at the same time, the safest place for him, again, is to be as close to her as possible. So it plays out, you know, pretty good just in those realities of where the characters are on this chessboard. So, loving it so far. You know, there's going to be stumbles, I'm sure, and I think the presence of Batman in some form or fashion should be addressed. Don't think it will be, and that's a problem. But overall, as just a crime story, it's working very well. And so it's been a while to see a show that's promised and had some amount of hype that actually so far lives up to it. And that's interesting to see. And by that, I mean for one of these pumped up franchises, you know, the franchise label has not done well for quite a few over the years. So it's interesting to see something like this. And of course, coming out of a movie that I didn't think was that good. Hopefully a lot of lessons are learned here, and you get more, because here there's actual plot and narrative and story that's solid, whereas the movie was severely lacking in it. It posed like it had a story, didn't really have one. Certainly not one that was credible enough to be taken in. So if that's how the Batman 2 is going to be, similar to this, then that really is exciting, and that would be impressive. So anyway, basically, yeah, so far so good. Hopefully it continues in this vein for the Penguin.